Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. We're here for the news this morning. I say we every single time, and every single time I say we, it's just me, but it is just me. Here for the news this morning. Our main story today, this is looking at Jesse Lingard and his potential move to Arsenal. We're going to be looking at a few of the different articles that are talking about this move and talking about where they got the idea for this from and their sources and their reportedlies and their, is this going to happen, is this not going to happen, has this all just sort of tumbleweeded, snowballed into a different story than what it really should be. We'll find out. Kamucha in the chat, a new member. Thank you very much, Kamucha, for becoming a member. Good morning, lads. Happy Monday. Yeah, happy Monday. I actually I think I prefer the working week than the weekend now. Because, I mean, I'm still sort of sat in this room all the time, but at least now I've got stuff to do like this. I think it's better under the current situation. So, let's get in a bit more of a light feel than the dark denim. Very true. Let's get into this story then. And this is, like I said, Jesse Lingard's potential move to Arsenal. First of all, let me know in the comments whether you think it would be a good move for United, whether you think it'd be a good move for him. Do you think it's the right time to let Jesse Lingard leave Manchester United? So this is from the Mirror then. Arsenal are weighing up an ambitious move for Manchester United star Jesse Lingard. Okay, Mirror, very good. Gunners boss Mikel Arteta is keen to bolster his attacking ranks and has seemingly prioritised the signing of an attacking midfielder. The Northern Londoners currently have Dani Ceballos on loan for Real Madrid, but it's believed they will not have the funds to make that deal permanent in the summer transfer window. The Athletic claims that Arsenal Chiefs have accepted that they don't have 40 million. What? Why don't you? To fork out on the midfielder and instead have turned their attention elsewhere. I like, first of all, that I think that 40 million is such small fry cash that as if they don't have that, but 40 million, I mean, Wolves spend that. And United playmaker, although Wolves are better than Arsenal, and United playmaker Lingard, who has enjoyed a stuttering campaign so far, is the one that has attracted Arteta's attention. Now, let's keep reading. We'll come back to that. It has been suggested. Not even reporting who's suggesting it these days, that Arsenal and United have a good relationship when it comes to transfers, having dealt with each other a number of times in the past. You gave us Mikel Silvestre, and now we want Jesse Lingard. Deals include the swap deal between Henry and Qatar. All this stuff, right? Where is the evidence that Arsenal even want Jesse Lingard? Again, what they've done here, the Athletic claims that Arsenal Chiefs have accepted they don't have 40 million to fork out on the midfielder. So what we're doing here is we're giving Athletic the burden of sort of, I don't want to say the burden of proof, but the burden of you are our source for this. And then the next paragraph, and United playmaker Jesse Lingard has enjoyed a stuttering campaign so far, is one player that has attracted Arteta's attention. So are you attributing that link to the Athletic, or is this now a separate piece which distances yourself again while still keeping it in the sort of the mind space of the reader that the Athletic is the one that have said this one? Really, you've given no quotes at all. This also goes along. Let's go over to the Metro now. Jesse Lingard desperate to stay at Manchester United despite Arsenal interest. Okay, so they are interested. Manchester United star Jesse Lingard, again, this is the Metro, has no intention of joining Arsenal and is keen and is focused on resurrecting his career at Old Trafford, sources have told Metro. 27-year-old has played a bit part role at the Theatre of Dreams this term. Great, just journalist sentence. Scoring just twice in 35 appearances. When you actually get into it, Lingard's recent decision to join up with super agent Mino Raiola has appeared that a move was in the offing, but Metro understands the midfielder wants to fight for his place at Old Trafford and won't allow himself to be pushed out of the club. Again, there's talk of Arsenal at the start of this. There is no mention of a link to Arsenal. There's no mention of a source to Arsenal. This Arsenal rumour, again, let's move on to another one. This, again, is in the Mirror now. So the Mirror, who just said in their last article, United playmaker Jesse Lingard is one player that's attracted Arsenal's attention. Okay. This article headline, today, Jesse Lingard makes transfer decision amid Arsenal interest. Right. Jesse Lingard is reportedly prepared to snub Arsenal to stay at Manchester United and fight for his place. Speculation has linked the international with the Old Trafford exit door this summer following his slip down the first team pecking order. Again, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has lost faith in Lingard in recent months, using the 27-year-old as merely a bit part player. But the Metro report Again, so they're reporting the Metro, who were reporting the Mirror, who were reporting the Athletic, who, let's go on to that Athletic article called "What Does Jesse Lingard Do Best?" An article that came out 3 days ago. Jesse Lingard has had a torrid season and a bit for Manchester United. By this point, his chip paper news that he hasn't scored or assisted in the league since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's second game in charge. Again, they're putting in the league there. He scored the other week in the Europa League, but that's the article. Again, this is by Tom Warville, and this article is actually very good. There's a very good, if you've got the Athletic subscription, very good statistical breakdown of how Jesse Lingard's chance creation, goals, assists has slipped in recent years. This article is very well put together, very well researched, some excellent stats, attempted passes into the penalty area, that kind of thing. It's a very good article. But what it does mention in this article later on, talking about maybe he'll leave United because mostly this seems to be from he's not playing and his agent is Mino Raiola. Therefore, he must be going somewhere. So at the bottom of this article, there is then a list of teams he could join. Put into categories: the not in a million years tier, Liverpool, City, Tottenham, Chelsea. It doesn't fit our profile tier: Burnley, Leicester, West Ham, Bournemouth, Southampton, Newcastle. They're literally making a case or not for him joining every single team in the Premier League. And the only option that seems like it may be feasible is Arsenal. With Jason Rosenfield, Arsenal's head of internal data, leaving the club, it's clear they've had a change in approach and recruitment. That is the only link I can find between Jesse Lingard and Arsenal that has been reported in the Metro, the Mirror, the Sun, the Mail. Even people quoting the Athletic, people then quoting the Mirror, people then quoting the Metro. So, as far as I can see and as far as I can tell, this isn't happening. And if it is happening, they certainly don't know about it because there's so many back and forth. And Kamucha says, let's have a look. Is there any legal issues with journalism having to report real news or sources? At what point is it just making stuff up? Well, they aren't allowed to just make stuff up. Like the front page of the Daily Mail can't be, Boris Johnson says racist word. You can't just make lies up. That you can't attribute quotes. You can't do that sort of thing. But when articles are hidden behind Jesse Lingard, who's set for move to Arsenal, reports the Mirror, and then you put a link to the Mirror article, which is reporting the Athletic article, or reports the Express, or reports the Metro. Also, what you have to remember, there are 3 or 4 different media groups that own a large majority of media in the UK. There is Reach PLC, which used to be called the Mirror Group, I think, which is like the Mirror, the Express, a few publications in Scotland. I think over like 240 other small local businesses, local news corporations. There's also Murdoch's sort of end of the spectrum as well, which again own 2 or 3 different big major news publications. So they often will link and share articles between themselves and report and sort of use each other as sources, because it's kind of a risk-free way, to quote Stephen Howson, a risk-free way of getting this news out and using someone else as your there was no source there. Because if I write an article and say the Sun said it and they didn't, they might come to me and have a go at me. But if I own the Sun and I put the Sun said it, they're not going to have a go at me. So this all of these things play into this news coming out. Yes, they're not allowed to lie, straight up lie. You can't say, there are standards and laws to be adhered to. But if it's all hidden behind sources report, or sources tell us, or reports, this person reports that person, then they can essentially say exactly what they like. See, Afzal Ahmed there saying opinion pieces. Opinion pieces are a different thing. Some of these are opinion pieces, or sometimes there are opinion pieces that are, Jesse Lingard would make a great move for Arsenal, or Jesse Lingard should sign Arsenal, or should sign for Arsenal, or that kind of thing. But saying that Arsenal have registered interest in this player, that's not really an opinion, is it? That's either happened or it hasn't. And suggesting that it has when you know that it hasn't, or that you don't know that it has, is certainly disingenuous. Anyway, moving on. Let's have a look at Manchester United's approach to coronavirus at the moment. It's news coming out in the last couple of days. Well, I say it's news coming out in the last couple of days that Manchester United will be continuing to pay their non-playing staff their full wages without having to furlough anyone, which is obviously good news. Manchester City did the same thing yesterday. or the day before, Saturday or Sunday. Again, excellent news. Obviously not a Man City fan, but when you've got as much money as these sorts of clubs have, I think you have to give praise and you have to give credit for them doing the right thing. And I think it is the right thing to pay their teams, pay their non-playing staff the full wage. This is what Anish here, member saying, what about cyclic reports? Some reports express a report, Daily Mail report this on. Exactly, that's exactly what goes on. And especially, like I said, if they're within the media umbrella that owns all of the publications that they're reporting, there's no one's going to come out and say, we didn't say that, you didn't say that, we're taking you to court. It's like a kind of nice insider trading almost of news. So let's talk about this Man United news then. And this Manchester United will not furlough 900 playing staff after Liverpool controversy. Manchester United are reportedly set to pay their non-playing staff in full amid the coronavirus pandemic and will avoid the furlough scheme controversially used by Liverpool and Tottenham. There's a lad who works at our office who does some like stewarding work on match days at United, or maybe work. I think so. And there's another lad who works in the who used to work or does work in like the refreshment stand and that kind of thing at United. And they knew, and we knew from them. This was like over a month ago, before lockdown, before isolation, all that sort of thing, that they, at that point at least, were being continued to be paid based on because you have to do, I think, 30 or something games a season, something like, you're allowed to miss 5 or 6 anyway, or maybe whatever it is. You're allowed to miss some games, and United came to them and said, we're still going to pay you as though you've stewarded these matches, and that was a while ago. Obviously, since then things have changed. I think at that point, clubs were still hoping for that 3rd of April. This weekend just gone as a sort of restarting date for the league, so they were thinking maybe it's only a month we have to pay these people for. But again, amid controversy from Liverpool and Tottenham, who are using the furlough set out by the government. For those of you who don't know, I mean, I'm sure most of you do, but if you don't, you might not be from Britain, you might not have kept up with the news. The furlough scheme is a scheme put together by the government where they'll be using government money to pay their staff members up to 80% of their original earnings, but they aren't allowed to work during that time. So you're kind of being handed over to the government in terms of who pays your wages. So it was designed, at least my interpretation of it, was to protect small and medium-sized businesses against having to sack all their employees because they can't afford to pay them when no one's at work. The reason that obviously Liverpool and Tottenham and Newcastle have got in such sort of hot water over it is because these are companies and clubs that are earning between 200 and 500 million quid a year, and they can't afford to pay. I think Liverpool, 500 staff have been put on furlough, which if you presume that most of those most of those people will be on roughly minimum wage, which is about 1,300 quid a month, that's probably just under £1 million a month that they are saving by doing that, which obviously is a fair chunk of money. But when you think how much money these teams make, how much they spend on transfers, how much the players are earning, and not that it should be up to the players to give them the money, but when you think the clubs are willing to pay the players still, I think that's why the backlash was there. So, but it's nice to see United aren't doing that. Anish, Joshi there saying, thoughts on Rooney's comments? I think certain sections of his comments were taken slightly out of context that made it look like he was like, oh, why do footballers have to pay money? But really, I think what he meant, which is something I've sort of suggested on Friday in Late Night Live, is footballers are always used as this kind of first line of why are they getting paid so much. They are the typical and predominant look how much these people get paid who don't deserve it. It's because they're a public-facing organisation, even though they're privately owned businesses. What makes money for the likes of footballers is us. So we give the ticket money, we buy shirts, we add revenue, all that sort of stuff, and they seem like an easy target because they're almost like public property. Do you know what I mean? It kind of feels like footballers are this sort of public property. They're sort of these nationalised pets that we're all allowed to have our opinion about every single thing they do. Whereas the likes of bankers, the likes of big corporations who earn vastly more money than footballers, but are never the ones to be told you need to take a pay cut by politicians, primarily because often there are conflicts of interest there. The likes of donations to campaigns people who have friends in these companies, friends in banking, that sort of thing. And also because there is no public face of, all right, so let's say, you think NatWest should pay more money in tax, so you think some stocks and shares trader should be paying more in taxes. Who is it? Who's the person? It's not as easy as saying Manchester United players, Paul Pogba, Wayne Rooney, whoever it is, needs to pay more money to charity, because we know what they look like. We've seen them do interviews. We know how much they earn because it's in every newspaper every day. It's a very easy target. I think it always has been an easy target. And there are people, making a lot more money, paying a lot less in taxes during the rest of the year, who usually are just let off scot-free because, well, there's bankers in it. We don't really know what they do, so we can't call them out for stuff. So I think Wayne Rooney's comments from that perspective were true and very good. And he, like I said, he's willing to pay money for charity and give some of his wages away. And I'm sure most of them haven't been giving 30% away. But the likes of Marcus Rashford, who is 22 years old, let's not forget, and he's been doing incredible work for charity. There was reports coming out yesterday. He's made over 20 million quid for in sort of donations, and that's what he's managed to achieve through the work he's done. I mean, that's just staggering, isn't it? And again, 22 years old. When I was 22, I didn't even think about giving money to charity. It's like I'm just being a kid still. I know 22, you're not a kid, but I was, doing different things. You're not thinking about these people are forced to grow up so quickly and at such a young age, and you're given so much money, and obviously the responsibility and the chances for you to blow up the wall and smash your car through, someone's front room's one thing, but they are doing a lot of good as well. And I think the amount of charity work that footballers do is being ramped up, and as it should be. But I think that, like I said, they're just a bit of an easy target. Also, footballers' career have careers for like 10 years on average. Yeah, but I mean, they make a couple million quid. I think the average footballer would make probably 2 or 3 million quid a year. You don't need a couple of years on that to be fine. So I don't think there's any question of they need to save it for the rest of their life after they retire. Someone says footballers make so much more than the general public, but he's also entitled to his opinion. I assume you mean Rooney there, but I'm not sure. ESU brings up a good point. Am I a member? No, you're not a member of ESU, but if you want to become a member, and if anyone watching would like to become a member to help out the channel, and also it's not just like a handout thing. We're going to be giving loads of extra content. You can check out the different tiers that we're offering, fun, interesting content on each tier as well. So if you want to help us out, there's a little join button next to the subscribe button. Have a look at that. If you're interested in helping, if you're interested in getting extra stuff, like I said, it's not just helping us. It's we're hopefully giving a lot back to you as well. And also, like I said, outside my room. If you want to give us a bit of extra money to help us out, that would be great. But yeah, click the join button, and then you can have a look at the different tiers that we're offering, see what you fancy, and hopefully sign up, and that would be massively appreciated. And if you do, you get all sorts of see that page here. Shock Jesus, the insightful. You can't see the emoji on the screen, but what you can see in the chat is the emojis that you get, and there's loads of different emojis, and there's more coming all the time. Someone said 198 watching. Let's like the video. Yes, please. Questions on the screen are a classy look. Is that right? Thank you very much. Someone says, please address the denim jacket situation. Is that a band? That sounds like a band. Coming up next, the denim jacket situation. These are an outfit from somewhere in Detroit. Also, here's another good point, and it's not that good a point, but it's a bit of a point. Talking about footballers' wages and that kind of thing. You get the people coming out and talking about, they need to be given more money, we need to be giving more money to NHS Trust, this sort of thing. And politicians saying this like it isn't the same politicians that decide how much nurses get paid in the first place. Like it isn't these same politicians that were cheering when the bill to not increase, nurses and doctors' wages went through earlier in the year. They get to choose how much nurses get paid. If you think that they need more money, enough to ask for the employees of private businesses to give them their wages, maybe you should just pay them more in the first place, because that would be a great start, wouldn't it? We'd all be happy with that. That's your decision. You get to choose how much doctors and nurses get paid. So if you think they need more, pay them more. Anyway. The average Premier League, not that one. That was an accident. The comment slipped as I clicked it. We get rid of that. The average Premier League career is only 3 years. Well, okay, but you still see my point. It's not like you have. It's not like you retire like when you're a postman or something. You don't like, oh, I've had 3 years of my career Premier League, got to retire at 21. No, you just get another job like anyone else, and you have 3 years of making way more than anyone else would. Anyway, there we go. Footballers make more than most, but why don't they call out government officials to cut wages? At least we don't have to pay footballers. Well, I don't think that is. I like the idea. I like the sentiment behind it. I like that these people are. But I don't think that the state payment and the state sort of wages that a politician gets is, first of all, particularly high. I know it's a good wage, but it's not particularly high. And part of the reason why politicians have to get paid a decent amount of money is so that you don't have only the elite having that doorway to being a politician. Imagine if politicians only got paid minimum wage and you lived in Scotland and you had to come down to London every week, or you had to do what it does is it becomes prohibitive to people who aren't from money, who aren't from a background where they can afford to sponsor and afford to pay to be a politician themselves. So politicians have to get paid a decent amount of money so that anyone can be a politician. Otherwise, you just end up, and I know we are kind of in that position anyway, where it is only elites that can be politicians. I think one of the reasons why politicians get paid a decent wage, admittedly not crazy high, is because otherwise it would only be people who have money before they become politicians that could be politicians. Anyway, I don't know whether to put. Cam works for us, right? Cam's putting comments in the comment section. He works for us, and I still don't know whether I can put his comment on the page without it. I don't trust him. Anyway, they just spent 330 billion on the country. Where was this money to help the NHS before the crisis? Good question, but I still think we will see the ramifications of how much money we've had to spend in years to come. I don't know is the answer to that. You like to think, well, yeah, if we had it before, why couldn't we just pay them more in the first place? But we don't really know where this money's come from, and if it's affecting other things, we may well have more other problems to deal with down the line. Anyway, let's get too political now. Let's just let's leave it there. And again, if anyone would like to comment or become a member, please click the join button and help us out. That'd be very helpful. Someone said, "Cam, that's it." Let me just put this quick comment from Cam up on the screen because I trust him. And if he's got it wrong, he works for us. Did you see that Joe Cole has done with his wife? Set up a charity, 300k raised, bought 50 3D printers to print thousands of medical visors for frontline NHS staff, plus more. Ran out of characters. Very good. See, stuff like that. See, that's amazing, and that's exactly what you want. People who do have this extra money, who do have access to these kind of resources to do. Joe Cole, fantastic. Yeah, absolutely lovely stuff like that. That's exactly what you want to see. Right. Back to football. Yes, we will be back to football very soon because at 4 o'clock today, we have got Houseman's Brew coming. We've got Jay from Full Time Devils. I think Alex will be on there. And maybe Kieran if he's overcome his illness. Not coronavirus. He was thrown up, bless him. Probably eating too many raw chicken wings. That's his favourite little snack before he goes to bed. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you again for joining me. Again, if you want to click on that join button and get some extra content, get some extra stickers, emojis, all that sort of stuff. There's loads of fun stuff in there. Check it out. And we will be back, like I said, at 4 o'clock today for Houseman's Brew. So be sure to tune in for that. Thank you for joining me this morning. See you next time.